Okay, we're going to go over the worksheet today that we got, generate equivalent forms of a fraction and decimal, which would be a good test review. First thing we're going to do is omit number 1. So just get rid of number 1. Okay. Number 2, it says which group does not show a set of equivalent numbers. So we are looking for one that does not show a set of equivalent, which tells me that 3 out of the 4 should be equivalent. Okay, so A says 2 and 7/100ths. So 2 and 7/100ths, if I made that a fraction, would be 2 and 7/100ths. Well, 2 and 7/100ths is right here, so these two match each other. But then I have 207 over 100. Well, remember that's an improper, and we use division to make that a mixed. So divide. 100 does not go into 220, but it does go into 207 twice. And I'm left with remainder 7. So that mixed number would be 2 and 7/100ths. So this is also equivalent to 2 and 7/100ths, which is also equivalent to this 2 and 7/100ths. So A is equivalent. And remember, we're looking for not equivalent. Okay, so then I go down to, this is C, but we'll go down here first. This is 2 and 125 thousandths. So if I want to show that as a fraction, it would look like 2 and 125 thousandths. 2 and 1/8. Well, at first that doesn't look equivalent, but remember that 1/8 is one of our benchmark fractions. I know that 1/8 is 0.125 or 125 thousandths. The whole number goes in front. Well, the first one that I looked at, 2 and 125 thousandths, is the same as 2 and 1/8 because I had to convert the 1/8. Remember, how I converted the 1/8 is I am expected to memorize those benchmarks. 1/8 is 0.125. Then I just put the 2 in front. 17/8, again, there's that improper. That top number is larger, so I need to divide it out. It goes in twice, and I'm left with 2 and 1/8. Well, again, we just got through doing the 2 and 1/8, so if 2 and 1/8 matches 2 and 125 thousandths. So all three of these, even though they look very different, when we convert them, we make them look the same. They are equivalent. Let's go over to B. B, we have 2 and 2/10ths. Well, let's write that as a fraction. 2 and 2/10ths. Here we have a fraction of 2 and 2/100ths. Well, right there, I know that is not the same. This is not equivalent. I don't even have to look at the next one. 2 and 2/100ths is not the same as 2 and 2/10ths. D, 2 and 4/10ths. Let's write that out. 2 and 4/10ths. 2 and 2/5ths. Okay, here's that benchmark again. 2 and 2/5ths. 2/5ths is a benchmark. Remember the high 5 down low? That means we double. 2/5ths is the same as 2 and 4/10ths. How do I know? Because if I made 2/5ths grow, the next equivalent fraction is 4/10ths. And remember, I need a tenth for my decimal place. So 2 and 4/10ths, 2 and 4/10ths, these are equivalent. 12/5ths, again, there's that improper. Divide it out. 5 goes in twice. This is 2 and 2/5. Well, we just said 2 and 2/5 is the same as 2 and 4/10. which is the same as 2 4/10. This one is equivalent. The only one that is not equivalent would be B. Okay, for number 3. 4 students answered this question differently on their quiz. Write a number that is equivalent to 22/5. So I need an equivalent to 22/5. Well, if I notice, the first thing about my fraction is this is improper because the top number, numerator, is larger. How do I get the 22/5 out? Well, I'm going to divide top dog in the house. I put the big number in the division house because I need to get my whole numbers out. It does not go into 2, but it goes into 22 4 times. Subtract remainder 2. That means that this number is 4 and 2/5, my mixed number. Well, Leonard wrote that it was 2 2/5. Well, those are not the same thing because our whole numbers are different, so that one's not going to work. The next one is Sheldon, 4 2/5. Well, that one works. That one matches. Howard wrote 4 4/10. Okay, well, let's write that as the fraction, 4 4/10. Well, those aren't the same, but our denominators are not the same, so I can't compare these two fractions as they are. If I had 4 2/5 and I made the 2/5 grow, there is an equivalent of 4/10. That means 4 4/10 and 4 2/5 are equivalent. That's the same thing. 4 2/10, well, that's already at a tenth. That is not the same thing. So that wouldn't be equivalent. The only two that would be equivalent are Sheldon and Howard, which would be answer C. Okay, number 4, Drake is assembling a box of sweet treats for his mom. The table below shows the contents of each box. So I look and I have sugar cookies, brownies, Rice Krispie treats, and oatmeal bars. First thing I notice is this is one whole box, but I don't know my total in the box. So first I'm going to find out how many treats are in the box. Well, I add them up and it's a total of 25. Which type of treat represents 2/10 of the box? 2/10 is also written like this, 2/10. So we need to figure out which one matches. So I'm going to start with sugar cookies. Remember that my fraction is part over total, so sugar cookies is part, so that'd be 10 over total. Well, there was 25 total in the box, so we've got 10 25.
Attention students, the volleyball bus will be leaving in 5 minutes. If you're a volleyball player, you must be getting on the bus. It is leaving in 5 minutes.
Okay, well, they want us to look at a decimal. Remember my decimal place? I have a choice. It needs to be a tenth. Uh-oh, spelled that wrong. Hundredth, I'm going to shortcut, and thousandth, shortcut. There is no 25th place, but I can multiply times 4 to get to that 100th place, and I know that 10 25ths is the same as 40 hundredths. Okay, so for those of you who were struggling today with why are we doing this, look at it like an E chart. If I had 10 25ths and I needed to make my number or my fraction grow because I need to find a tenth, hundredth, or thousandth, the next one would be 20 50ths. Well, that doesn't work. We don't have a 50th place. 30 75ths. That doesn't work. We don't have a 75ths. Or 40 hundredths. Well, that works. I have a hundredths place right here. So 40 hundredths is equivalent to 10 25ths. That's where we got that multiply piece from. Is this is just done faster. We jumped forward 4 spaces. Then let's go to the Rice Krispie treats. Rice Krispie treats would be 8 out of our 25. 8 25ths. Again, we don't have a 25th place in our decimal place value. So I need to get to a tenth. Well, tenth's before it, so I'm going to move forward. Hundredth. I know, think quarters, 25 cents, 4 quarters equals $1. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do the top of a fraction, and that's 32. 32 hundredths. Again, if you want to watch how we go with an E chart, 8 25ths, we would increase that to 16 50ths. That doesn't match my place value. Then we would go to 24 75ths. That doesn't match. So then we would go to 32 hundredths. Well, that hundredths matches, so I know that that's 32 hundredths. Or as a decimal, it would be a decimal of 32 or 32 hundredths there. Brownies. Brownies would be 5, part brownies is 5 over 25. Again, we need to make it grow. That would be 20 hundredths, which as a decimal would be 20 hundredths. If you're using the E chart, it's make it grow, that'd be 10 50ths, that doesn't work. 15 75ths, that doesn't work. 20 hundredths, that's the one I'm looking for. And then oatmeal. Oatmeal, part oatmeal is 2 over 25. Make it grow, it'd be 8 hundredths, which would then be 8 hundredths. So none of them match exactly because they said that I needed to find 2 tenths. But remember, we want to make them look the same. All my decimals are in the hundredths place. So I'm going to add a 0 so that I have this number in the hundredths place. Now I see a match, and my answer is brownies. Okay, flip it over on the back. Number 5, we have Beth who has $1,000 for her birthday. She used $200 to buy clothes, $375 to buy a new tablet, and she put the rest of the money in her savings account. Which of the following statements about Beth's purchase is not true? Not true. Okay, so important information. We have a total of $1,000. She used, on clothes, she used $200. On a tablet, she used $375. The rest was in savings. Well, let's see what savings was. How would I find the savings account? That's just a subtraction problem. 1,000, I'll do it all off to the side here. 1,000 minus 200 is 800. That gets rid of the clothes. Get rid of the tablet, 375. That's 425. That's what's left. That means that in savings she put $425. Now let's go through each of our answer choices and see which one matches. It says Beth put 575 thousandths of her birthday money in her savings account. Well, in order to know if this is true, we have to make this into a fraction problem. Remember what they're looking for here, they're specific about savings account. So I'm looking at part savings account. Well, what part savings account do I have? It's 425. Over total. Well, where was my total? Remember, she got $1,000, which was great, from her grandma. Does that match? Well, this is 425 thousandths. This is 575 thousandths. Those do not match. Beth spent 1/5 of her birthday money on clothes. Well, let's make that fraction. Okay, this is bad for room. So part clothes, 200, over total, which was 1,000. 200 thousandths will reduce to 1/5. Well, first thing I need to do is let's get rid of some zeros and make this a little bit smaller. I can cancel out because I have one on top and one on the bottom. Well, that gives me 2 tenths. So let's get 1/5 and make it grow. 1/5 is the same as 2 tenths. Those two match. That means this is true. 3/8 of her birthday money is on a tablet. Okay, so let's look at tablet. Part tablet is 375 over total of 1,000. 3/8 is a benchmark fraction. You are supposed to memorize this. 3/8.375. Well, these two match. So that is also correct. That's a true statement, and we're looking for not true, so that would not be it. C says Beth put 17/40ths of her birthday money in her savings account. Okay, so savings account, we already found her savings account up here was 425 thousandths. So 17/40ths, I have to be able to get to see if it's equivalent to thousandths. So this one's a big number. Let me write it over here so we can see a little bit better. 17/40ths. They want to know, does it equal 425 thousandths? Okay, well this you're looking at and going, I have no idea. Do we want to grow on an E chart 40s until we reach 1,000 to see if it's there? No, I really don't want to. So look at the 4. What do we think about 4? Remember our quarters. It takes 4 quarters to equal 100, but I'm trying to get to 1,000. Well, if it takes 4 quarters to get to 100, 40 quarters would be 1,000. So I know that this is times 25, and I know 17 times 25, because I worked it out, is the same. So this one actually is true. Beth spent 2/10 of her birthday money on her clothes and 375 thousandths of her birthday money on a tablet. Well, we just did that. We had, up at B, we said she spent 1/5 or 2/10 of her birthday money on clothes. Yes, she did. And then we already did the tablet over here. We said it was 3/8, which is the same as 375 thousandths. That one is true as well. So the only one not true was A. Okay, number 6 is asking for, circle all the fractions that accurately represent the amount of push-ups. Well, the amount of push-ups is 65 hundredths. Okay, so 65 hundredths is, as a fraction, is 65 hundredths. But what if we wrote it as 65 thousandths, because we added a 0? That would be 65 thousandths. Well, those are the two I can easily pick first. This is 65 tenths. No, that's improper. That's not going to work. 65 hundredths. Yes. 6/5. No, that numerator is bigger. Oops, I'm not circling. I'm crossing out. The numerator is bigger. That's not going to happen. 650. Oh, I made that mistake, didn't I? 650 thousandths. 13/20ths, well, I don't know. I'd have to make this grow, so we're going to leave that one alone for just a minute. 1300ths, we're going to leave that one alone too. 26/40ths, I don't know yet. I've got to leave that. And this one's 6 1/5. Well, there are no whole numbers in here. This is not improper, so this one's out. So these 3 that we have left, we just need to see if we make our numbers grow, is it going to be 65 hundredths or 650 thousandths. So 13/20ths, I know 20 times 5 is 100. 13 times 5 is 65, so yes, this is the same. Again, those of you wanting to use those E charts, just make that grow until you see the 100 and you'd see the 65. 13 hundredths, oh, I missed that. That's already at 100. That's not the same. 26/40ths, again, we could make it grow, but what I recognize is 26 and 13, that number's doubled. 20 and 40, that number's doubled. If I reduce this and got it down a little bit, those are actually the same, 13/20ths, and we already said that's the same as 65 hundredths. So that one is as well equal. Number 7. Jose's keeping track of his favorite baseball players. What's the statistic on the table equal to 7/20? Okay, 7/20. I can't put into a decimal, and my answers are in decimals because of this 20th. I know I need a tenth, hundredth, or thousandth. 20 times 5 I know is 100, and I have to do the same thing to the top. And then I can just write 35 hundredths. If you need to use an E chart, do the same thing. 7/20, you're making it grow until you get to that 100 because that decimal place. 6, 14, 21, 28, 35. Same thing. Well, the only one on here that's 35 hundredths, there are none, but look at this right here. 350 thousandths. These are the same because all I have to do is add that 0 and it adds on the thousandths place. So A says 7 divided by 2 is 27 hundredths. Okay, our answer is not that. B, they're saying the answer is a half? No. C, the answer is 35 hundredths? Yes. D, they're saying 140 thousandths? No, so my answer is C. Okay, number 8, which of the following equations are true? Circle all that apply. 2/5 is 25 hundredths. 25 hundredths. First we have to get the 2/5 to tenths. That would be 4 tenths, which would give us, those are not the same. 6 2/3, that's mixed. To improper, do our Texas. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 2 is 20. Denominator stays the same. Those match. 4/3, that's improper. 1 1/3. 1 1/3 is actually, remember the third is that 1 and the third is 3 repeated over and over and over again. That doesn't match. 8 1/4 is 8 1/10. Well, our fourth is quarter, 0.25. Remember quarters, that's our benchmark. Those do not match. 5/4, that's improper. Get it out of the improper. Divide it. This is 1 1/4. A fourth is 0.25. Bring the 1. Those two match. 7/8, that's a benchmark. 7/8 I need to know is 0.875. Do those match? No. 3 hundredths, 3 thousandths. Those do not match. So just these two. And number 9. We are talking Jolly Ranchers. She has 9 cherries, 6 green apple, 5 grape. Her brother doesn't like grapes, so he gave her 7 more, but took 2 of her cherry candies. Which decimal represents? So first we've got to figure out what's going on. We know that Abby has, let's see, we're talking about grape. So we know Abby has 5 grape. Her brother gave her 7 grape. That's 12 total grape. They want to know the decimal that represents the fraction. Well, the fraction is part grape is 12 over my total. Well, my total I need to know. So I need to know that there are 9 cherry, 6 green apple. She now has 7 grape. But her brother took 2. Her brother took 2 of what kind? Oh, took 2 of the cherries. So that's not 7 cherry 9 cherry anymore, it's 7 cherry. And that's their green. So just add them up. 7 and 7 and 6 gives you 25 that she has total now. So the fraction is 12/25. Well, 12/25 I can't use as a decimal because that 25th. So let's rewrite it over here. 12/25. 10th, 100th, or 1000th, I can get to 100 by multiplying times 4, which gives me 48 hundredths. Again, if you need an E-chart, make it grow to get that 100. 24, 36, 48, same thing. So A is 48 hundredths because we added all of these together. Now they subtracted the 2 at the end where we just took it off at the beginning, but this looks good. This B says 4/10. That's not 4/10. There's no way we can get that. C is 45 hundredths. That's not 45 hundredths. D is 28 hundredths. That's not 28 hundredths either. So your best answer is A. So practice your flip book. Make sure that you're memorizing the facts that are the fourths, the fifths, the tenths, the eighths, and the 1/3 and the 2/3 repeating that we looked at today.